Purple is easily the best color, and I'm glad that's something that everybody watching this video can agree on, and lately it's been popping up more and more in Toku, which I for one am a huge fan of. Characters like Rogue, forms like Titan, Trigger Multitype, Dynas, hell, even one of the best main characters we've gotten was entirely purple, and that's Gav. Shout out the current airing Rider series. It's safe to say that Sentai's had the most solid run of purples, and something I noticed in my experience is that they're always really good. Like fucking peak even. So today I want to go over them and see if we can maybe figure out why purple is always perfect. I think it's fair to say that an iconic purple Sentai guy is Olshade, more commonly known as Korag the Night Wolf. Now, I'm not going to be talking about Korag too much because there's a great video by Shaman King about how he's that guy and literally Korag the Violator. So for the most part, I want to take a couple minutes to talk about Olshade because the difference between them is almost purely because of Sentai's weird lack of certain topic censorship. Olshade is that guy just like Korag, except he's going the distance, specifically when he kills Magimother, but I feel like there's a really good reason why being able to go as far as he does actually works, and that's because of Olshade's very prominent feelings of honor. Now, I could fully believe Korag and Olshade wouldn't go striking down toddlers Anakin style, but the fact that Olshade is willing to kill under his oath makes him just a little bit more cool, even though in my humble opinion, they're both fucking goats.
With the courage of a wolf, Jungle Fury, Wolf Ranger!
Now, I'm actually not going to be talking about Geki Violet in this episode because I do a lot of talking about Sentai and I want to give some love to Power Rangers, especially because I personally believe that RJ, the Jungle Fury Wolf Ranger, does do a fair bit of shining over Geki Violet, even though I do also feel that Geki Violet, aka Go, is super peak. I think RJ is just on another level. RJ spent a good bit of Jungle Fury being the mentor to the Rangers before joining them in the fight after his wolf spirit starts tweaking out. And after conquering his fears and trusting an unlucky ally, he gains the power to morph into the Wolf Ranger fully. The mentor joining this team, in the way, is something I really have to give Power Rangers credit for. They did it in Ninja Storm with Cam becoming the 6th despite being there the whole show, and it really speaks as something that Power Rangers really likes to do, and something I feel Sentai really drew heavily inspiration from down the line. Because RJ was not only there from the start and specifically portrayed as a different type of sensei, being kind of outwardly laid back and chill, but everything in his debut arc goes bar for bar with someone like Tommy Oliver, from learning that he's actually not perfect, to learning he's got skeletons, to watching him overcome them with the help of the students he's come to care for ever since they became Power Rangers. It really cements him as an absolutely goated Purple Ranger, probably one of the best, because he did everything he needed to do. There from the start, there for his team, and he literally locks the fuck in. It's amazing. Now we gotta skip almost 10 years into the future and talk about the dynamic duo that is Kyoryuger and Dino Charge. I'm actually going to take this opportunity to praise both shows in different ways, by first talking about the first Kyoryu Violet and the second Dino Charge Purple. So let's start with Dr. Olshade. Dr. Olshade is an eccentric old man featured in Juden Sentai Kyoryuger, and personally a really fun purple, even though Albert should not be overlooked. They really played into his old man shtick, and it works super well, from back problems in battle to getting absent-minded and proving that, you know, Unk still got it. It's also worth mentioning that Olshade earned his doctorate in spades by helping develop all of the Kyoryuger tech with the help of Wise God Torrid and his granddaughter, Yayoi Olshade, who goes on to become the second Kyoryu Violet. The reason he stands out so much in his arc about letting go is that it resonates a lot. We all know some older fellow that just won't hang it up, and when it does, he becomes a valuable side character and someone that I think of whenever I look at the Gabby Revolver. Or use it.
What? It shows me!
Kendall Morgan, known as Miss Morgan to most, is the second Dino Charge Purple Ranger, taking the mantle from Albert after he realized he's too old to be a Power Ranger. Miss Morgan has been there from the beginning of the show, being our Pink Ranger Shelby's boss and the main tech operator of the Power Rangers. She's also in the background, helping the Rangers solve issues from the command center and usually backing them up, even sometimes getting in the fight herself. Later in the season, she personally goes to Sledge's ship in order to rescue the captured Purple Energem and save Keeper, the protector of the Energems. If you want a more comprehensive breakdown on those magical space rocks, Filmform Studios has a killer video explaining every colored crystal. Miss Morgan would then bond to the Purple Energem and give us another great always been there ranger, given the behind the scenes type she is, which definitely gives a little bit of context to her previous giving Shelby a hard time, as she may have wondered why Shelby and not her, which I think is a nice touch. And as a ranger, she's definitely a boon to the team, being able to give on-the-scene analysis along with proper purple support. Miss Morgan made for a phenomenal ranger and definitely solidifies Dino Charge Purple as an all-timer, and the Plesiosaur is easily the best dinosaur.
Ryu Commander!
Ryu Commander is an additional warrior for the already stacked cast of Uchu Sentai Kyuranger, and features Sentai really taking a step into that been there from the jump direction. Sho Ronpo is a humanoid dragon alien old man who assembles the Kyurangers in an attempt to stop the evil conglomerate Shark Matter. Sho is a part of the original Resistance, and despite fighting as hard as he did, he came from a galaxy that only had a skill Kyutama, while all of the Kyurangers galaxies have a change Kyutama. However, needing more of a chance to fight, he developed a system that would allow him to temporarily transform into Q Violet, a system that would later be refined into that which the Q Rangers used. And it's safe to say he's fucking peak! His silly old man personality is super compelling, and throughout the show leading up to his debut, we see him yearn to help more properly and sort of missing being a field agent. After revealing his improper transformation to the team, the Light of the Dragon constellation grants him his wish, shout out Shenron, and he gains the ability to properly transform into Ryu Commander. With no limits, Sho becomes a mentor-type ranger, along the lines of Doggy Kruger, whichever one you might be thinking of, and doesn't go out on every mission, but still holds his place as a pillar and a background option. Also, Ryu Teo has a kick-ass Die Ranger summoning animation, so that's already like a 10 out of 10. Ryu Soldier is unfortunately pretty polarizing, even though it was a very early Sentai for me and I really enjoyed it, but something everyone seems to agree on is that Gaisol is often a fan-favorite ranger. Nada is a member of the Ryusol tribe who was actually in line to become Ryusol Red before it was passed along to Ko instead. This broke his spirit and he decided to leave on a journey to find himself, and what he found was power. The living armor Gaisol took a liking to the darkness inside him and gave him the power to rival a Ryu Soldier. Gaisol had been appearing for a bit now, but we had no idea who it was, and for it to be revealed to be Nada after he's not only recently showed up, but also been so kind to the team, really hits like a ton of bricks, especially since the armor is using his malice to fuel itself. Eventually, a Minosaur shows up that actively eats negative emotion, so the gang defeat Nada, forcing the suit of armor to seek out the stronger warrior Go, and when it leaves him, they bait out its malice, and feed it to the monster, leaving the suit totally in Nada's control. I'm not going to dwell on it, we all know what happens, but Nada dies soon after both gaining power of the armor, and fighting a particularly strong Druidon general alongside Ko, and his knightly energy becomes the Ryusol Max Changer, which allows Ryusol Red Max to be born. While dying this way is hurtful, especially after just finally being able to become a Ryu Soldier in his own way, this is how the arc comes to a close. And even though the impact is felt for the rest of the season, in several moments, it still kinda hurts. Nada moves on to the next life and leaves his mark on a list of memorable, fantastic, and 10 out of 10 Purple Rangers. Stay Caesar, or often referred to as Stacy, is an evil Purple Ranger based on Battle Japan. He's also one of the gorgeous men in Sentai. Do not at me! Stacy is half human and half Kikanoid. With a father who's a high-ranking general to Bokawas, Stacy is brooding and at first pretty standardly evil, but over time, through exposure to the main cast, begins to change and indulge in his humanity. It's revealed that Kaito's grandmother has some sort of familiar warmth that makes Stacy feel vulnerable, a feeling that reminds him of his own mother. It's something that's difficult for me to explain, but I highly recommend watching the show for Stacy alone, as his journey is incredible. But long story short, he gains bar and becomes a part of the team, more or less, willing to help and ultimately searching to make a place for his people to live with humans harmoniously. Stacy has a really lovely journey of finding himself, and it's portrayed really well. As he becomes more and more accepting of himself and those around him and actually gains friends, he starts changing the way he does things. He stops shooting himself in his transformation because he finally found a reason to live. He's hanging out with Zox and his sister is sort of a backup Sentai to the Zenkaijers in a way, and I think it's really cool and I think it's really nice. he begins to smile more and more. And by the end of the show, he's willing to walk forward with humanity and try to create a place where Kikinoids and humanity can truly live together. And I think it's really nice. Stacy's journey is a highlight of Zenkaiger and makes him a absolutely perfect purple.
Down, Murasame!
Don Murasame is a weapon guided by a mysterious figure known as Mother, who gives him the simple goal of defeating the Juto. It's worth mentioning that he spends a lot of his time inside the Ninjark sword, but despite this, his presence is sort of undeniable. Most of his appearances are full of aura, and while there wasn't much development, his introduction and use was still pretty damn good for being as 2D as I found him, and Black Oni Taijin was pretty damn cool. It's definitely a little bit strange to come off a list of what I would consider such meaningful and well-written purples to talk about Don Murasame, who we can all admit was treated a little bit lackluster in terms of writing, but despite that, the fact that he's purple, a shark, has a ninja motif, it all works in a way that I really found enjoyable. And I wouldn't say he's perfect, but I would definitely say he's peak. Aesthetically, when he shows up to move the plot along, I liked all his appearances, and I'll stand by the fact that I think he's good, but I really would have liked for him to have been great. So, sure, maybe purple's not always perfect, but it's at least always fucking peak. Oh my god, Don Murasame is so fucking cool!
Papillon! Olshade!
Rita Kaniska is the perfectly objective and unmoving monarch of Gokon, and more importantly, Osama Sentai King Oger. There's a lot of reasons to consider Rita being totally viable for carrying the mantle and even elevating the bar in a lot of ways, from being canonically non-binary to having one of the saddest forms of stoicism. Everything Rita touched in the show was pretty much dripping in gold. They really did a lot for the show like King Oger. Their acting is some of the best I've personally ever seen. The facets of their characters were moving, and specifically the romance between the Queen of Ishibana, Himeno, and theirself was something that really was incredible to get to enjoy. Rita personally is very enthralling to watch. Their early appearances as a justiciar investigating Gary's existence to their later role of having to sacrifice themselves while everyone else tries to find a way around it. I think everything about Rita, from their design, to their drip, to their dating life, and their destiny, makes them an awesome Purple Ranger. I personally think Rita is a lot like Stacy in some ways, where a lot of the changes that you notice throughout the show are very subtle, but that makes them more interesting when you catch them. Things about how Rita tends to act around certain people as opposed to other people, small moments of jealousy you see when Himeno interacts with someone else. I think the way they're portrayed really reward someone for looking beyond the surface level of stone cold justiciar who is completely neutral on everything, and I think that's really cool. I think Rita, if Rita was your favorite purple, I'd understand. Personally not mine, but that's because RJ exists and I'm a bit biased. But Rita's definitely my third favorite, if I'm being honest, because everything about them in the show King Oger was really great. Definitely a highlight of the show, if I had to be honest. And dude, I just really like Rita, I'm gonna be honest. The Papillon Oger suit is really nice. Gokon's really cool. Morphonia is really nice. And I'm really happy that we got such a cool Purple Ranger. That wasn't a sixth, that wasn't an extra, that was on the team. It was so nice having Purple being part of the main cast and having it done so well in Rita that I really do have a soft spot for the character, I'll be honest. Side note, if you want really good Rita art on your timeline, you should follow Megane-chan 5 on X. Finally, we come to our final Purple Ranger to date, Himo Sakto, and he is the fastest man alive. Sakto is a victor from deep space and also Earth. One day he opted to abandon Earth entirely because it wasn't quite fast enough for him and came back with a purple robot brother, a connection to the fucking Speed Force. Bune Violet is easily one of the fastest Rangers we've ever seen depicted on screen, down to the Lightning looking like fucking Iris West Allen from CW's The Flash. Plus, his personality really carried the character super heavily. The way his actor performed the role, combined with his cocky attitude and larger-than-life presence, really makes him feel like a 6th Ranger. Now, it's worth mentioning that he's our first actual 6th Ranger who is purple, and honestly is pretty high on the list of Purple Rangers, up there with Sho and RJ, if I'm being totally real with you. All his personality really compiles into a nice bow with his Formula 1 theming, the racing uniform, his robot literally being a Mach Speed Formula 1 guy, and his transformation device being very heavily inspired by a Formula 1 steering wheel. Sakito is often given slack for not doing the most in the Boom Booster storyline, but after finishing the show, I've actually kind of changed my opinion and I think he's kind of cool. He always feels like he's making moves, we just don't get to see all of them, and low-key, that's kind of alright. Sakito's speed, cockiness, and vibes really makes him an incredible Purple Ranger and a very fun character to watch in Boom. Following such an amazing lineup of Purple Rangers is honestly fucking tough, but Sakito does it super well, and I'm super excited to see who he hands the baton to. I think Sakito is a really good way to end the current era of perfect Purple Rangers, and I totally expect there to be another one in the future because, like I've been saying this whole video, purple never misses. It's because it's the best color, so they always write out the best shit for that color to do. Thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to let me know your favorite Toku Purple guy in the comments below, whether it be from outside of Sentai, maybe it's Kamen Rider, maybe it's Armor Hero, whoever that is, be sure to let me know. Comment what show I should give a random stray to next as well. As you noticed, this video was lacking my typical Geet stray because I just really didn't feel like doing it. This video was about Sentai and I really have a Sentai to throw a stray at. Deca Ranger should have had a purple. There you go, there's your stray. YouTube has some videos on screen that they think you'll enjoy, so feel free to check those out, and I will see you the next time.